Welcome back to this week's episode of the Investor Mindset. My name is Steven Pesavento. I'm your host, and each week we share mindset tips and real estate investing strategies to help you grow your business and your passive investing portfolio all at the same time. Today's episode is no different. If you're just joining us, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button on YouTube, and so you never miss another episode from us. If you've been listening for any amount of time, please drop us that 5-star review and leave us a little written review. We read every single one of them, and it helps us reach even more people with our message. It's one of the reasons why we're a top-ranked podcast, is because so many folks get so much value. So keep on sharing it. And without further ado, let's dive into this episode.
This is the Investor Mindset Podcast.
So as we were talking about in last week's episode, reducing expenses on a property is one of the most conservative ways to add value, and it can be a phenomenal lever to leverage up what the value of that property is. When you can reduce expenses, it goes directly to the bottom line and directly to NOI, which is going to lead directly to a phenomenal addition of value. You know, in that example, we were talking about how much income we were saving and how much income we were producing, as well as, frankly, just how much value was being added to a property like that. So for all of you who are interested in getting involved in the kind of properties we're doing, we have a new opportunity coming available. I encourage you to head over to vonfinch.com/offers. And you can find out about our newest investment opportunity. It's a phenomenal project. I think you're going to like it a lot. And today I'm going to be talking about the value of installing income-producing solar. We're going to have a special guest on the show here soon. We're going to be diving into even more technical details of this. But simply from a high-level perspective, when we're looking at reducing expenses, it can be phenomenally valuable to be able to add on additional ways to reduce those expenses. And one great way, one of the biggest expenses that most projects deal with, even on non-master metered properties, is the cost of electricity. It's extremely valuable, and it's even more valuable on properties like the one that we currently have available, which has a chiller system, which means we're actually paying for air conditioning for the entire property. Now, of course, we're going to bill back all expenses to those tenants, so that's something we can do regardless of this strategy. But by adding this on, we create another income stream, because in the state of Texas, you can bill back the power at whatever the market rate is. So if we create power below market rate, which in this case we do based on the cost of installing the system and what typical wattage we're going to expect in the area based on all the metrics that we would follow, we're able to create a massive amount of income for the property as well, simply by having these panels on top of the project. And so there's some important things to understand. You have to have the right project. You have to have the right experienced partners and team members who are going to be able to get that deal done, because the cost of solar can be sky high if you don't have those right relationships. So in our case, one of our partners has 10 years in the solar industry. We're able to essentially install solar at about 50% of the cost of typical retail solar. And what that's going to result in is we're going to be installing commercial grade panels on every single roof of these different 16 buildings. So one of the things we want to do is we want to make sure that roof that we're going to put on this 10 to 20 year product, we want to make sure that roof is in great condition. So if a roof was recently replaced, great. Absolutely exactly what we're looking for. If a roof might need to be replaced, we're going to do that prior to installing the solar. That's going to end up putting us in a position where we don't need to move panels around to replace something in the future. And what's great is when you install these panels, you still retain the initial roofing warranty and certificate that goes along with it. So everything's done compliantly, and that way we know we've got a good 20-year lifespan on those panels, and that we're going to be producing income for a very long time. One of the other things that's really important to understand is that they're actually very low maintenance. So it's important to understand where they're tapping into and having things installed in the correct way. But with the system we have, we're able to actually see exactly which panels are producing how much power. We can tell if there's an issue, if there's a warranty claim that needs to be put into place, or if there's any kind of change that needs to happen. But they're pretty low maintenance. So at sale, it'll be very simple at the end of that 10 years for that next buyer to be able to take over. They won't necessarily need the same level of expertise that was required for us to install it, but they will be able to simply take advantage of all those benefits and continue to live out the full life of those panels. Now, in this example, what's phenomenal about it is we're being very conservative. So the numbers are probably much higher, but we like to really under promise and over deliver whenever we're putting together a pro forma. So on this project, we're looking at about $372,000 a year of overall utility expenses. And by installing solar, we're going to cut the electricity cost in half. Now, it's likely that that cost could be higher, but that comes out to about $72,000 a year in savings. Now, when you back into a cap rate of about 5%, now we're actually seeing about a 4 to 4% cap rate on this. So realistically, things are a little bit higher. Even being conservative, looking at this from a 5% capitalization rate, we're looking at $72,000 of additional net operating income that's created as a result just from solar, just from the savings on solar, not even billing that back to tenants. And that's going to create about $1.44 million of additional value, right? That's going to go directly to equity. So simply by installing these panels, we're creating $1.4 million of value. And that's before we've actually billed that back to tenants. So we're paying $1.7 for the panels. We're going to end up having about $650,000, $675,000 or more of incentives. So our all-in cost is about 1.2. That ends up creating a return on cost of about 12.6%. Return on cost, really important metric to look at from a value add perspective. That's really, really solid. And so when we go then to turn around and bill that back to tenants, you can see why we're able to create about an 18 to 20% IRR simply through the additional income created by billing back and the additional savings of installing solar. So what do you look for in a property like this? We're looking for properties that are master metered, that are specifically throughout the Sun Belt, that are in areas that have high access to sunshine. And we really like areas that have municipalities that are really easy to work with. In our case, Encore, Dallas's electricity municipality, has one of the strongest, most aggressive incentive systems in the country. So we're able to receive somewhere in the range of $300,000 to $400,000. That is simply a check that's written to us after the program's been installed and committed to prior to the program being installed, and that'll be directly reduce our overall expenses. On top of that, there's a 27% federal tax deduction that is actually something that can be passed directly along to any of the investors, including W-2 investors, who are able to take that savings on their taxes and as a direct tax benefit. And so that ends up driving up the value of what the returns are, because you end up getting a pretty significant, sizable tax benefit as a result. So when you take those two pieces into account, about 27% of the overall cost is going to come back as a tax benefit. You're really reducing the cost of this installation, especially because of the relationships we have and the ability to install these in a way that really makes a lot of sense. So I really think that there's some huge benefits. Sometimes folks really love solar because they're really energy bugs and they really want to focus on, hey, how can we, make the world a better place? And I'm a big believer in making the world a better place. And if we can save the energy and, save money and create income, I'm a big believer in that. But if you look at it strictly from an ROI perspective, strictly from an investment perspective, it's a no-brainer for us to be able to add these to properties where they make sense. So it's a key part of our strategy moving forward. We're going to be executing this on specific builds or specific opportunities that we have where we believe that we can add value by doing so. So keep an eye out for some of our projects that are going to be happening throughout Texas with this specific strategy. And like I mentioned at the beginning, if you're interested in getting involved, we will have an opportunity available. It will go very quickly, but we'll have more just like it. And I encourage you to head over at your earliest convenience, vonfinch.com/offer. That's vonfinch.com/offer to get access to investing in deals just like this, using this same expense reducing strategy along with the installation of income producing solar. So great to be able to work with you guys. Von Finch is working on a lot of phenomenal projects right now. We're grateful to have so many investors getting involved with us and having the faith and trust and belief. And for all of you guys who've done extensive due diligence, you know exactly what you're investing in. So we thank you all for joining us, for continuing to learn and educate. And if you've been listening for any amount of time, we always appreciate that 5-star review and dropping a review on your favorite platform. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Investor Mindset Podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Head over to theinvestormindset.com to join the Insider Club, where we share tools and strategies from the top investors and entrepreneurs on how to take it to the next level.